Titus. Paul wrote this letter to address the challenges facing Titus as an overseer of the churches on the island of Crete. He included criteria for qualifications of leadership, sound teaching, and good works. Author Paul the Apostle. Almost done. Date written around AD 64. About the same time 1 Timothy was written. Purpose to instruct Titus in his duties as a leader of the church in Crete. Themes: church leadership, godly behavior in the church and in society. Philemon. This short but profound epistle contains a wonderful story of the importance of forgiveness among Christians. Author Paul the Apostle. Date written around AD 61 during Paul's imprisonment in Rome. Purpose to convince Philemon to forgive his runaway slave and accept him as a brother in Christ. Theme: forgiveness. Hebrews. The book of Hebrews was written for the Jews who had accepted Jesus as their Messiah. They were in danger of slipping back into the traditions of Judaism because they had put their roots down in the soil of Christianity. Author uncertain. Some have suggested Paul, Barnabas, Apollos, Priscilla, Luke, and others. Date written probably around AD 68, just before the destruction of the temple in Jerusalem in AD 70. Purpose: to present Christianity as superior to Judaism and to show the sufficiency of Jesus Christ's work. Theme: superiority of Christianity over Judaism, Jesus as high priest, Jesus as the ultimate sacrifice, rest, maturity, faith, and endurance. James spoke about faith in his book with an emphasis on results. He stressed the need to live a practical, working faith. Author James, a half-brother of Jesus and a leader in the Jerusalem church. Date written probably around AD 49, prior to the Jerusalem Council held in AD 50. Purpose: to correct the false belief that a person can have faith without a change of behavior, and to give a practical instruction regarding the Christian life. Theme: faith and deeds, trials of faith, controlling the tongue, the dangers of wealth. 1 Peter. The theme of Peter's first epistle is suffering. He brought inspired words of comfort to those who suffered under persecution. Author Peter the Apostle. Date written around AD 63. Purpose: to offer encouragement to suffering Christians. Theme: salvation, persecution, believers as living building stones, and obedience. 2 Peter. In this epistle, Peter wanted to remind the believers of certain important spiritual truths. Peter also warned of false teachers and spoke of the hope in the Lord's coming. Author Peter the Apostle. Date written around AD 67, shortly before his execution. Purpose: to warn believers about false teachers and to encourage them to grow in the grace and knowledge of Jesus Christ. Theme: diligence, false teachers, the Lord's return. 1 John. In this letter, John pointed out that a person either is or is not a child of God. There is no middle ground. John clearly emphasized that if one is really a child of God, it will become evident in one's habitual behavior. Date written probably between AD 85 and 90 from the city of Ephesus. Purpose: to reaffirm Jesus Christ's humanity and divinity and to instruct believers in their Christian walk. Themes: walking in the light, the family of God, truth and error, God is love, God is life. 2 John. In this letter, John pointed out that true Christian love involves more than just an emotional feeling. It is grounded in what is true. John also warned of false teachers, urging the believers not to receive them. Author John the Apostle. Date written probably between AD 85 and 90 from the city of Ephesus, about the same time as 1 John. Purpose: to emphasize truth and love among believers and to warn against false teachers. Themes: truth, love, false teachers. 3 John 3, or 3 John, I guess. John wrote this letter to commend Gaius, a fellow believer, for the hospitality he showed to traveling teachers of the gospel. Author John the Apostle. Date written probably between 85 and 90 from the city of Ephesus, about the same time as 1 John. Purpose: to commend Gaius for his hospitality and to denounce the actions of Diotrephes. Themes: hospitality, pride. Jude centers around the great apostasy or falling away from the faith that will happen on earth before the return of Jesus Christ. Author Jude, a half-brother of Jesus. Date written around 80 AD 65. Purpose: to warn believers about false teachers and to encourage believers to remain faithful to Jesus Christ. Themes: false teachers, rebellion against God, and the final book, Revelation. In this book, we learn of Jesus Christ's return to the earth, as well as the events preceding the climatic moment. Author John the Apostle. Date written around AD 95 from the island of Patmos. Purpose: to encourage believers to remain faithful to Jesus Christ and give them hope that they will ultimately be victorious. Themes: God's sovereignty, Christ's return, God's faithful people, judgment, and hope. And then we will start here. Genesis, in the beginning. So join me next time to actually start getting in the word. But I thought I wanted to help you to know what we are going to be reading about. And since this Bible had that in there, I decided to read it to you. Thank you all for joining me, and I pray that you will all have a blessed day. And just to let you know, today's the 4th of July, and I am in America, so I would like to say Happy Independence Day to everyone. And thanks again for joining me. I hope to see you again.